Hey everybody, Doug8798 here. It's time for another video. This time, I'm gonna be doing something new, and this is a video I've been trying to do for a long time, but really never really found the time to do it. So I'm gonna do it now before I forget, and that is my long overdue rant on Spider-Man. Okay, before I start this rant, I am not really a huge Spider-Man fan. I loved the Spider-Man animated series, the Spider-Man animated series of the 90s, its sequel, Spider-Man Unlimited, and I love that 80s cartoon, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with Firestar and the X-Men character, Iceman. And I also enjoyed the toy lines back in the 90s that were associated with the Maximum Carnage storyline. But I was never a huge fan of Spider-Man comic wise. I never thought it was as great as fans of the franchise overrated. Fans of the franchise overrated to be. I never thought the comics were as great as the fans make them out to be. The only comics, when I read the summaries on Wikipedia and do all the research on the characters, the only comics that really seemed all that good were the Torment series, which is the only series I've actually read, which Todd McFarlane created before he went to work on Spawn, and Maximum Carnage, which I always wanted to read but never could find. But those are the only two comics that look good, and yeah, like I'm saying. But when it comes to comics, I thought when it comes to comics, I was always more. I started reading comics in my early teens, like when I was 12 and 13, and I was always more into Fantastic Four, X-Men, The Incredible Hulk, Teen Titans, and Justice League, and I got into the Green Lantern comics when I saw the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. Yeah, but these are comics I've actually collected. I actually collect and have collected. But the only Spider-Man comic I ever bought was the Torment series, which is what it's called. I never knew what it was called, but I always called it the comics created by Todd McFarlane. But what I'm trying to say is that when I see that atrocious Amazing Spider-Man movie, which I never saw, I want to see it in 2012 so I could rant on it. But my dad ended up taking me to see. We ended up seeing The Dark Knight Rises because I think the movie played at a different time where I was. I don't remember why we didn't see it, but we saw The Dark Knight Rises instead, and that movie just looks terrible. It doesn't look like what I grew up with. And I guess according to most fans of the comics who love the Amazing Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Man and the characters I grew up with who were featured in the animated series are not what Spider-Man is. The cartoons, I love those cartoons, but they really weren't good. At least I didn't think the Spider-Man cartoon, while I love the cartoons, I didn't think Spider-Man and Spider-Man Unlimited and even were as good as what's the cartoon? X-Men, the animated series, and the Fantastic Four animated series. Those from the Marvel animated universe of the 90s. Spider-Man was more popular than the Fantastic Four series, but I thought the Fantastic Four 90s series was plot-wise and writing plot-wise was much better. Spider-Man, even with stronger writing, I just never found Spider-Man to really be all that good, even with strong writing. It's just like an opposite topsy-turvy type, if I pronounced that right, an opposite world. Spider-Man with good writing with good and strong writing, I still don't think it's that good. And Dragon Ball Z, I think with I think they are entertaining, but I think they are just poorly written, and even with stronger writing, they would still never really be that good. Dragon Ball Z I find entertaining, same with GT, but I consider them poorly written garbage. And even I guess with stronger writing, I still don't think they would probably be any better. But yeah. But going back to Spider-Man. But what I'm trying to say is that Amazing Spider-Man movie. I saw the trailers, and other than the costume and the fight sequences, the action sequences, that movie looked like hot garbage. First of all, the actor playing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, he looks nothing like the animated series Spider-Man. He looks like Edward. He looks like Edward Cullen. He looks like Edward Cullen, and the Spider-Man sequences look cool, but man, those scenes, those normal Peter Parker scenes, look terrible and atrocious. And the Sam Raimi Spider-Man series, those really aren't that good either. I mostly like them because they're at least that they have that so bad they're good feel. They're ridiculously entertaining, and they remind me of the animated series. But the Sam Raimi movies, yeah. Despite how much I would favor them over the Amazing Spider-Man, I've always never thought those were as good as those were made out to be either. Back in 2002, when I saw Spider-Man, so loved it, but I loved what was the movie I saw that year? I loved Star Wars Attack of the Clones more. Yeah, I actually did. A Star Wars prequel over Spider-Man. I enjoyed Spider-Man, but I was more excited for Star Wars Attack of the Clones. In 2004, I was more excited for I saw Spider-Man 2. It was awesome. It was entertaining, but I was more excited for Chronicles of Riddick and Hellboy, which I didn't even watch yet. And then in 2007 with Spider-Man 3, I watched it. It was awesome and entertaining. Problems with it, which I'm going to talk about. But I was more excited for Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was worse than Spider-Man, which was as a movie was worse than Spider-Man 3. But I enjoyed and loved much more Transformers, the new TMNT movie, Ghost Rider, who I didn't know nothing about and always wanted to get into comics. And freaking, I think the last one was 300. Yeah, but never thought they were good. But Spider-Man, I enjoyed the Spider-Man movies, even three, because they reminded me of the animated series. But I was pissed off with 3. I was pissed off with the end of 3. That was the killing off of Venom. I don't have a problem with anything else in the movie. I don't have a problem with anything else in the Spider-Man 3 movie, but I have a problem with them killing off Venom, because since Venom died, there was no real reason to use the Carnage storyline. I'm not even familiar with the real Venom and Carnage storyline. I only know what I saw in the animated series. Venom tries to frame Spider-Man. I think Venom tries to frame Spider-Man, and Jameson fires, not Venom, but Eddie Brock. Jameson fires Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock later finds the symbiote. Eddie Brock later finds the symbiote and wants revenge on Spider-Man, whom he thinks pretty much ruined his life. And then after he gets beat by Spider-Man, and he shares a jail cell with Cletus Cassidy, and Cletus Cassidy finds a symbiote and becomes Carnage. Pretty much that whole storyline I saw in the animated series, I want to see somewhat adapted here in the movies, and I didn't get that because of what you did at the end, killing off Venom, and that led to that crappy Amazing Spider-Man, which I think, once again, like I said, I think that movie sucks. First of all, even though it's called The Amazing Spider-Man, it takes things from the Ultimate Spider-Man, which I can't stand. I can't stand Ultimate Spider-Man. I think the Ultimate Spider-Man series is garbage. The artwork is terrible, in my opinion. The storylines are worse than usual, in my opinion. I don't like the redesign of several characters and the reimagined versions of characters like Shocker. I think the Ultimate series ruined him, and it's just garbage. And I hate it that Miles Ultimate Spider-Man crap, the Black Spider-Man, I hated that. I thought that was stupid. Couldn't think that I consider Miles the Black Spider-Man and freaking Static Shock to be some of the worst superheroes and worst black superheroes of all time. They suck and are not good. I'll talk more about why I think they suck in another video. But yeah, this was my rant on Spider-Man. Like I said, just not really a huge fan of Spider-Man. Doug out. Oh, before I go, yeah, and talking about the sequel, yeah, I'm only watching the sequel because Rhino is gonna be in there, but the movie, the sequel to Amazing Spider-Man, doesn't look like it's gonna be that good. All right, Doug 8798